there is going to be a big distress that is going to come into Asia. A big disease, distress of disease is coming. The Lord took me into a hospital. There's a very big distress there. You see a lot of people swarming into the hospital. I see the lack of equipment now. There is no equipment. The doctors are running up and down, and many people flooding into the hospital. And I see a lot of people rushing into the hospital, being rushed. There's the procedure being done on somebody, and then there is testing. So somebody told me, well, he makes one of the doctors there to speak with me, and he says, we don't have equipment. What we do, we take this, and we take a little and put on the culture to see. So there is going to be a big distress that is going to come into Asia. A big disease, distress of disease is coming, a disease emergency in Asia.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Officials in China are dealing with a major health crisis at the worst possible time of year. With at least 7 major cities under a travel ban, officials have suspended public transport, outgoing flights have been cancelled and train services shut down, leaving more than 20 million people going nowhere.
Over 7 weeks, COVID-19 has spread to 29 countries and territories, killing more than 2,000 and infecting more than 75,000, mostly in China.
Developments surrounding the coronavirus. There are confirmed cases in nearly 30 countries and more than 2,100 people dead. Among those fatalities, 2 are passengers on that cruise ship in Japan. You can see it there live as we learn more about the conditions on board and the crew's inability to successfully quarantine, even as more passengers are being allowed to return home. Meanwhile, in South Korea, the number of cases there, they've spiked as the first virus-related death there, as the mayor of a city of millions warning residents to simply stay home.
Tonight, 2.5 million residents in one Korean city ordered to stay indoors after a woman who authorities called a super spreader infected dozens in her own church.
Coronavirus, or now more appropriately, it's called SARS-CoV-2. That's the name of the virus that's responsible for the COVID-19 outbreak. Wuhan, China is the epicenter of this epidemic, but some experts like Dr. Anthony Fauci of formerly the CDC, now NIH, is saying that we're on the verge of a pandemic. So these are the latest numbers as of February 18th, 5:53 p.m. So the total number of confirmed cases, 75,152. Vast majority are mainly in China. On the Diamond Princess cruise ship, they had 542 cases. That brought in 14 new cases to the U.S. Previously, the U.S. was 15, but now it's 14 plus 15 gives you 29. The total number of deaths so far, 2,007.
Well, let me give you the latest on the coronavirus, and I'll start, as I often do, with statistics. The number of confirmed cases in China is over 74,000, the number of deaths over 2,100. But it's more complicated than that. First of all, those who die at home aren't counted. Well, let's also focus on South Korea. It's confirmed its first death from this virus, and there's been a sharp rise in the number of cases. That's connected to the city of Daegu.
A woman aboard this cruise ship, the Westerdam, tested positive for the coronavirus 2 days after she and hundreds of passengers were allowed to disembark and cleared for travel. Some 300 left the country after passing health screenings, scattering across the globe. The news triggering immediate concerns about the spread of the virus. Were other passengers, including some 600 Americans, exposed? And are passengers traveling home infecting anyone else? Those still in Cambodia now unable to leave, with 92 Americans still on the ship and under quarantine until Wednesday. Another 260 remain in Cambodian hotels. This comes as 338 Americans who were quarantined on a different ship off the coast of Japan arrived at U.S. military bases Monday morning to begin a 2-week quarantine. 14 of those passengers who tested positive for the virus given a police escort and rushed to medical facilities.
It was a nightmare.
With the number of cases in China climbing above 70,000 and the death toll approaching 2,000, this morning a deadly virus with a global reach as fear spreads faster than the illness itself.
There is going to be a big distress that is going to come into Asia, a big disease. Distress of disease is coming, a disease emergency in Asia.
This is CNN Breaking News.
We have an update on the spread of the deadly coronavirus. Now, a short time ago, the World Health Organization declared the outbreak an international public health emergency. The organization's Director General explains why they've taken this step.
The main reason for this declaration is not because of what is happening in China, but because of what is happening in other countries. Our greatest concern is the potential for the virus to spread to countries with weaker health systems and which are ill prepared to deal with it.
We begin with that new case, the first human-to-human case of the coronavirus. The World Health Organization tonight has now declared the outbreak a global health emergency after a tenfold jump in cases in just a week.
Bedford is tracking the virus's genetic code. It changes slightly when the virus passes from person to person. The data is so detailed, it traces right back to when patient 0 became sick.
And then starts this kind of epidemic fire in which one person's infecting another person, and then that has since grown to be this large epidemic that we see today.
Scientists calculate each person infected with the virus is infecting about 2 to 3 others. At times, this outbreak was doubling in size every 6 days. That large epidemic is happening in Hubei, China. The capital, Wuhan, is a bustling city of 11 million people.
It came without warning, and it spreads like wildfire. But until today, its origins remain a mystery.
The 2019 novel coronavirus is very unusual because it seems to spread much easier between both of us, between individuals.
Since it was first discovered in Wuhan, the capital city of China's Hubei province, late last year, the virus has killed more than 1,200 people and infected at least 45,000 others worldwide.
For every single person who is affected, it seems as if there's going to be up to 3 or maybe 4 other persons who could also be affected.
China alerted the World Health Organization of a mysterious virus outbreak in Wuhan on December 31st. By the time the WHO declared the outbreak as a global emergency on January 29th, the virus has spread to all of China's 31 provinces and more than 25 countries across Asia, Europe, and North America.
But 2019 novel coronavirus is different. You can actually find the virus in people who have no symptoms. These asymptomatic individuals, these individuals with no symptoms can spread person to person. And we don't even need to wait till the 7 days before symptoms onset. Disease may spread even before the onset of illness. This allows the virus to propagate very quickly across large swaths of area, many people. And hence we are seeing these numbers of unprecedented spread of infection.
Hospitals have been struggling to cope with people suspected of contracting the deadly virus. Resources were also stretched to the limit as the number of patients with fever and breathing difficulties kept growing every single day. Today, on almost every continent, countries have taken similar steps of closing their borders to flights and foreign visitors from China as the number of infections outside China grow.